everyone. We are a blockchain studio, web tool to have enable users to create smart contracts and deploy it on the blockchain very easily. And we will talk today about a use case we are currently implementing with a customer. And I'm Romain Menetrier, I'm founder and CTO.
And I'm Corentin, CEO of the company. As Dave said, and you probably have already seen these numbers, in 2020, the growth of the value of the blockchain will grow by 120% a year, which is huge. So this is in 2020 that you have to be ready to create and to implement a blockchain, because in a blockchain application. Because in 2025, the whole value of businesses done thanks to blockchain will be 175 billion US dollar in many, many different type of businesses. So the game changer is now, because if you don't start now, in 2 years, sorry, it's gonna be too late.
So you know, like, blockchain is not so simple. You have to dive into it because one of the things is about technology. You have something to learn, and there's a lot of people who want to start blockchain project, but not many developers to deploy it. The second part is about architecture, because we used to have architecture based on private APIs and so on, and now we are moving to share and peer-to-peer stuff, so it's very mind-changing. And the last part is about learning tools around the blockchains, like wallets. We talked a little bit about cryptocurrencies, but also about what I think is very important is about thinking of the value of the asset we're manipulating in the blockchain. So it's very changing.
At Blockchain Studio, we try to democratize the blockchain, not the technology, but the usage. As Romain said, the issue is that people doesn't know how it works. So you have to, if you want really to acculturate and to implement some blockchain application in your company, you have to find a first use case that is easy. A first use case that everyone can understand and everyone can use. You have to find a use case that doesn't involve many third-party softwares, because if you start to make it too big, then it will never happen. And you have to find a use case that can be then bigger later. And so this is what we have done with one of our customers.
We found an everyday use case that something are very used to manipulate. It was about process approvals, like vacation. It implies some parties, but inside the company. So it's very known. The other part was about a good blockchain candidates, because there are some parties who sign the documents, who put the documents. It needs to be auditable, be followed by people. And it's a painful process, so it's a good candidate for a startup, but just a use case is good also. It was email-based, hard to track, so that's why we use it.
So how we've done it and how we've implemented this use case in our client company. So first, we give them a Blockchain Studio. We didn't give Blockchain Studio to developers. We give Blockchain Studio to people that will later use the application on blockchain. So they've done by themselves the smart contract using our system, and we'll explain you later how it works. And then we created a private infrastructure, because when we started to talk about public infrastructure, they all say, no, we don't want it to be public, and we want to start private, and they wanted to keep information in their own company.
So we thought that using mobile was a good candidate for this use case also, because a lot of people have mobile, of course, and it's a good candidate because you have it's personal, so it's good to have keys on your personal device. It also have power to calculate, so you can run Node on your mobile phone, and it also has connectivity. So it was good for blockchain. You need connectivity. The second part is this company has already have a public key infrastructure, so wallet is very tied to management of keys, and so we have just plugged into their existing infrastructure, so it was not involving users, or users are already into that. And the last part, it was about phone, because if you want signed transaction, you want to prove that you make something, you can just use our phone reader, and very convenient for a user to just not remember a password, but just use the thumb to use it.
So at the end of the project, they got a digital signature application on their mobile phone. Which is cool is that everyone in the company could use it. And even some people who doesn't trust actually in blockchain, they used it without knowing they was using blockchain. So the good thing is that at the end people was using it, and then when we said, well, you are using blockchain now, so they started to trust in blockchain. And this is when you can start to be bigger. And the good thing with digital signature application, as we talked about KYC and others, is that it can be much bigger. So you can start internally and sign some internal documents. So then you can open to new partners. So then you can open to your customers. And then you can iterate and add new features like keeping some data and doing KYC and other stuff like that. And this is the way we implemented actually blockchain in the company, and we could say that at the end the company become a blockchainized company.
To talk a little bit about inception of Blockchain Studio, it all started with NG as an innovation tool. They run everywhere, innovation challenge on the technology. And in 2016, it was about blockchains. And they didn't find a tool to do that. And they want to be to enable every user inside the company to be able to do a smart contract, make a smart contract, run it, and test it. That's why we created this. And it ended with 100 participants who just run a 30 project. And it was a huge successful project.
So how it works, it's a SaaS software. So you just have to log in through your web browser. And actually the tool will guide you to create your own application on blockchain. So we could if you compare to internet, it's like the WordPress of internet. So you start defining your assets. So what kind of assets I will exchange. So then you define the actors, which can be physical actors. So it can be employees or a partner or whatever, but it can be also third-party software. And we are for example, creating a partnership with Salesforce, so you can interact with Salesforce. And then you define the process of your application you want to implement. And automatically, Blockchain Studio will generate the smart contract code. So without knowing any codes, without being developers, without having any technical skills, you are able to generate smart contracts and to generate codes, which is actually my case. I'm not developers, and I can generate smart contracts. So then after you need to deploy it, and the deployment phase is sometimes very long, it takes time, and the developers usually doesn't like to do it. So we've created a one-click deployment system. So you choose which blockchain you will deploy on. So it can be a public one, a test blockchain, it can be internal blockchain. We also have some nodes, so it can be on our blockchain. And then you click on a button and automatically it will deploy the smart contract, which is cool after that, is that we even create the web interface and mobile interface, so then you have your entire application, which is ready. And this is the way we are creating this digital signature application. Thank you.